American Handgunner Insider.
Hey folks, Tom McHale with American Handgunner Magazine, here with another episode of American Handgunner Insider. I am here with Handgunner and Guns Magazine writer. We want to talk about the Guns Magazine work, whatever, but we'll talk about Handgunner articles. Frank Jardim, you know him. He does the Apparatus Insignis column.
That's
in
Latin.
America. It is Latin. That's bougie, isn't it?
According to you, it's Latin.
It is. We have no idea what it means, but it's something about cool engineering and old gear, which is what the stories are about anyway. But he also does all kinds of other feature articles for us as well. And we are here at SHOT Show, and we want to talk about wheel guns because there's some cool stuff. We actually kind of jumped the gun a little bit with an article in the March-April issue of Handgunner Frank did on a new Charter Arms revolver.
That's right. The Charter Arms Mag Pug 357 Magnum and 9mm combo. I think they're calling it the Double Dog.
Double Dog, yeah,
pretty good
exactly.
Name.
So,
and this pistol, when I saw it, my first thought was, here's a gun that somebody can actually afford to shoot enough to learn how to shoot a double action revolver.
Yep.
And when I was learning to shoot, police would leave thousands of 38 special nickel cases on the ground after their training. So they were the brass was free.
Yeah.
And the lead
and
was
last
free.
forever.
It did.
Special brass.
It did.
Yeah.
So you'd scoop it up and you'd melt the lead down and cast 148 grain wad cutters and 2.3 to 3.5 grains of bullseye, like almost no bullseye.
Yeah.
And you were loading rounds for like the primer was a penny.
Yeah.
So there was really an
That's
unlimited.
heresy. You can't say that.
I'm pretty sure it was
Primers,
a penny.
what are they, like $4 each now or something, right? No,
It's high.
Okay, I'm exaggerating.
It's high.
I'm
It's not
exaggerating
quite
a little
4,
bit,
but it's up there. But the point was that you could really afford to shoot a lot, and
Yeah.
that's why I got into reloading. I
Yeah.
bought my first press because a friend of mine said, you got to start hand loading, kid.
Yeah.
It took me to his basement, and he showed me this Dillon 550, and I've had that press for 40 years.
Yeah.
It's been a
It's a good press.
fantastic press. And
And 38
point was
special is the way to start, man. That is the easiest caliber to reload.
it certainly is,
It
and
really
it was affordable. But that ship has sailed.
Yeah.
Today if you find a box of 38 special for $25, that's a pretty fair price. And 357 is very expensive comparatively.
Yeah.
So how do you learn to shoot a revolver? Well, how about 9mm? 9mm is the new 38 special. You can still get that on sale. It's not unheard of to get it for $10 for a box of 50. 12, 13, easy to do.
Yeah.
Well, now that's a horse of another color. And
Yeah.
I thought, wow, here's a pistol now. Snubby is not an easy gun to master, but at least now you can afford to take this gun out to the range and practice with it. And I've never owned a Charter Arms, so getting this gun in for T&E was enlightening. They have always had a reputation for making a utilitarian pistol. Their big breakthrough gun was the Undercover, and it's still made today. It's still a popular gun. It was, I think, the smallest, lightest 38 special. And the way that they kept costs down was to use these production methods that had been the backbone of Harrington and Richardson and Hopkins and Allen and a lot of these other late 19th century, early 20th century, inexpensive defensive handgun makers. They were using cast frames, cast barrels. Casting, you're very close to net shape right out of the mold. So there's less machining, keeps your costs down. And Charter used these solid frame guns. They're pinned together, so you don't have screw holes to thread. But they took it even further. They started lightening these guns up by making the trigger guards out of aluminum.
Yeah.
Trigger guard doesn't need to be steel, so they're saving money, not necessarily saving money, but they're definitely saving
easier
weight.
machining. Yeah.
Yeah, they're saving weight on these things. So I'm looking at this pistol and I said, wow, this is like, if this is the contemporary version of this manufacturing process, which still is valid. It's still a way to do things. Is it necessarily going to be a gorgeous gun? It's not made to be a gorgeous gun. It's made to be a utilitarian pistol. Sometimes you'll see little surface defects on the outside from the casting, unless the castings are x-rayed, but unless there's something that's going to affect the functionality of a gun, they don't care.
Yeah.
Sometimes they do a minimal polish on them. So the Mag Pug, this is their small 357 Magnum snub nose, and they make a 9mm cylinder. The thing about the Charter Arms system is it's not wasting a lot of money on beautiful precision fit where it isn't important. What's the most important thing on the fit of the revolver, right?
Cylinder.
The cylinder,
Yep.
and also the relationship of the hand and the cylinder stop. All of these. There's certain pieces that have to work in concert together.
Yep.
Everything else is kind of like not that important. So you look at the gun and you have the cylinder open and it seems like really loosey goosey, but when you put that thing in place, it actually locks up quite tightly. And they came up with a really clever way to lock the cylinder at the frame. Like you see a lot of ball detent stuff. A ball detent is okay, but I think the Charter Arms system, from a lockup standpoint, it's much better. They have a sleeve that's on the ejector rod. So when you push the ejector rod in, this sleeve, which fits inside a recess and locks the cylinder in place in the front of the frame, this sleeve pushes out, and then the cylinder crane can drop.
Gotcha.
The only thing that holds the cylinder in is one little screw through the front. Does it matter if it's a little loose? It doesn't matter at all.
Yeah.
Because the cylinder locks up
because of the way it
on
locks
the
up.
front of the ejector rod. Now, there's a downside to it in that you can only push the ejector rod so far, because the ejector rod is really that critical front anchor point that's compensating for a loosey-goosey crane fit into the frame. But if you think about it, fitting a crane to a frame, like if you do like Smith & Wesson and Colt, that's quite a complicated precision machining operation. But you don't need it.
Yeah.
You don't need it to make a gun lock up tight. And so Charter Arms said, well, if we don't need it, we ain't going to do it. And what does the policeman want? The policeman wants a gun that's going to be reliable, that's going to shoot straight, and that doesn't cost him a lot of money.
Take a beating.
Take a beating, because he doesn't make a lot of money. So why should he buy the Smith & Wesson for 3 or 4 times as much when he could get the Charter Arms and have the essential characteristics of a reliable, accurate handgun for a tremendously lower price? So, I mean, they really hit it. And that's why that Undercover became so popular. That was like the flagship gun. And then later on, they expanded the concept into bigger calibers. The 44 Bulldog becomes kind of famous. And, say what you might, it's not a gorgeous gun. I wouldn't want somebody shooting at me with a 44 Bulldog. That was cheap pocket firepower. Yeah. And anyway, getting back to the Magpug 9mm 357 combo. So they just decide, okay, we're going to sell our stainless steel gun, 357, the Magpug, which, by the way, is ported. Yeah. And that actually makes a hell of a difference. Sure. With a 9mm cylinder. Yeah. So you're good. Now, they came up with a very clever, and in my opinion, perhaps overly complex, uncharacteristically complex way to eject the 9mm cases. And it uses, a modified ball detent to engage the rims of the 9mm cases. So when you press them in against the resistance of the detent, like when you put a socket on a socket wrench, right? A ratchet wrench.
Same kind of thing.
So boom, you get them in. And if you hit them right, they'll all come out. But there's a lot of right that you got to get right to do that. And like, for example, don't work against gravity if you can help it, because that flaw in the ejector rod cylinder lock shroud design is you don't have much throw on that ejector. With a snubby, you never have much throw, so it's not so big a deal on that as it seems on the bigger gun. Right. But and then you're like, oh, why can't I have more ejector rod? But in any case, the system worked well enough that it would be easy to manage on the range. I would not want to use that 9mm cylinder for self-defense if I ever thought I needed to reload. But you're also talking to a guy that never carried extra ammunition.
Yeah, but I think that's I love the characterization, and you get when you do whatever you want with it. There's lots of great defensive ammunition of all types, and you're right.
It's not the ammo.
Vast majority of cases. No, I know, but what I'm saying is, I love the characterization of, hey, you've got 9mm cylinder for great practice, and it's everywhere. You can buy 9-cylinder gas stations half the time, 9mm. Basically, I love that distinction that practice with this, carry this.
Well, the only reason I say that you should not carry the 9mm for self-defense is not because there isn't good ammo. There's excellent ammo.
Oh, no, I know.
Very strong argument. But it's the idiosyncrasies of that mechanically clever ejector mechanism that can trip you up. And this is specifically what I had happen sometimes when loading it and when trying to eject it. Sometimes you'll end up getting that ejector, cases loaded or empty, will get past it.
Yeah.
And now it's hard to get them out of the cylinder. That's not something you would want to be jerking around with under pressure. Now, if you only are ever going to carry the gun loaded, then don't worry about it. Carry 9mm. But if you have any intention of ever reloading it in a stress situation, I would say do not do the 9.
Yeah.
And carry the 357 because it is a bulldog with 357. And unlike, I shot both the snubby version and the 4-inch barrel version. The 4-inch barrel is easier to control, easier to shoot, easier on the hand in many respects. But the snubby version actually has a more comfortable grip. So it's reminiscent of like what is it? The 3rd generation Colt Detective Specials when they got the shrouded hammer. Remember that kind of big rounded grip they have? It really fit the hand well.
Yeah.
So it absorbs recoil well. And the trigger is not bad at all for a revolver. It's like, hey, for a gun this price, it's what I would call very mechanical. Like a Smith and a Colt triggers tend to be quite smooth and you don't really feel the different things that are going on in the gun mechanically. You do feel it in the Charter, but you're not talking about the same price point either. And it's not anything that would diminish the basic performance of the gun. If you can learn to shoot this revolver, you're set. If you can already shoot a revolver, you're not going to have any issues with this. That porting made a difference. I took my my wife's Smith & Wesson 640 and I thought, well, maybe this isn't as bad as I remember, right? So I put some 158 grain bullets in it. And it was every bit I can't believe she shot that gun. It was every bit as bad as I remember it. Drew blood on the first shot in my hand and tremendous report and muzzle rise. And so I just went through the whole cylinder as one should. And then I loaded the ported gun. And I mean, it was significantly less muzzle rise.
Yeah.
Now, here was an issue that did come up, though, especially with the 2-inch. That porting cost about 100 feet per second. 100 feet per second. And I was shooting some of the...
That's surprising. I didn't think it would be quite that much.
It did.
I mean, when you figure an inch of muzzle, inch of barrel length is 30 to 50 on average for a lot of handguns. I mean,
it was just about at 100.
Wow.
I was shooting, and it seemed like it was very close. It was either, in the 90s, maybe a little bit over. And that's fine because the 357 was still going at a pretty good clip. You were talking 900, 1,000 in that realm from a 2-inch barrel. But I was testing some of the Honey Badger,
Black Hills.
Yeah, it was a 357 Honey Badger load from Black Hills Ammunition. And I started thinking to myself, is this bullet, is the loss of 100 feet per second going to diminish its performance? Because the sorcery by which those work, there's a lot of science going on in that bullet. People look at it like, what, is this like a hardball round? Like, why does this thing just not keep going and not stop at all? And so I wanted to be sure. So I called up the folks at Black Hills and I talked to the engineer who really worked on this project. And his name was Justin, by the way. He's really, really smart young engineer.
Yeah.
We ended up having like a 45-minute conversation on this.
Yeah.
And, I had always kind of equated it to a snowplow.
Yeah.
snow plows going through and it's throwing all that tissue, it's throwing the snow to the side. And this does the same thing with tissue and creates that hydrostatic shock effect that is disproportionate to the size of the bullet, because the bullet doesn't really expand
it's moving
anyway.
fluid, basically, is what
So
it's
it's doing the same job as a hollow point, but more reliably. Not necessarily in
well,
wound
especially at
cavity.
lower velocities. So
Yes, and I asked him, I said, what do you think, Justin? Is losing 100 feet per second going to keep this from doing what you think it should do? And he said, no, that's fine. Because each one of those bullets, they have engineered it to work within a certain framework of velocities. And if you've ever looked at them, heck, you can pick them off the ground sometimes. It look like you could even reload them.
Yeah.
So you can oh, that one has a bigger hole in the bottom, and this one's smaller, and this one's got a different flute design. That's all engineered to allow the bullet to do what it needs to do. And the thing that I hadn't even considered before, because I was just thinking of tissue disruption, but he brought out the point that one of the ways this bullet succeeds where traditional hollow points perhaps don't, it's very easy for a traditional hollow point to become a ball round.
Yeah.
It all has to go through, a hoodie. I forget what you call that fabric, that hoodie type, fleecy, fleecy fabric, or, leather coat or heavy clothing, and it clogs the hollow point cavity and it becomes a ball
borderline
round.
velocity. Shorter barrel or ported or whatever the case may be.
And then it ends up going right through.
Yeah.
But he said that bullet's design, it's not just disrupting tissue, it's a hydraulic brake. And I said, damn.
Yeah.
It is a hydraulic brake.
Yeah.
And the bullet is designed to dump everything it's got in the target. So if you get the bullet giving everything it's got into the target, you've done all you can do.
Well, it's a great design for those scenarios. For
avoid over-penetration.
I love the idea for 380, and they're actually here at the SHOT Show. They announced a 32 ACP.
Yeah, I got excited about that.
So I think that's big news too.
If I ever get a Walther PP,
which
is an aspirational old age purchase for when I'm too frail to handle a 454 K-Sul, my regular carry pistol, the 454 K-Sul revolver, custom. But no, seriously, I don't care.
I didn't think you did.
That's a lot of pistol for me, for anybody.
Yeah.
But a 32 is a good caliber. Once the most popular pistol cartridge in the world for good reason, and I think it's going to see a renaissance. It's both improved bullets, and it's much more important to actually hit the target than it is to just not hit the target at all and fire off a bunch of more powerful bullets.
Look what's going on with 32 revolvers of various types. So
they do. Yeah, that's right. But a revolver is harder to shoot. You have to invest a little effort to shoot a revolver well beyond table distance,
Right.
But the auto loader, I think we could see a real renaissance in that.
So you found something else here, since we're on the topic, back onto wheel guns, that I thought was just exceptionally cool.
I know. How much new stuff do you see for revolvers these days? I mean, the technology is well over 170 years old, right?
Okay, so explain what this is.
I'm walking around SHOT Show and I passed the REV Industries table. And
REV Industries.
Yeah, REV Industries. It's two gentlemen who came up with this on their own, and then basically engineered it, tested it, patented it, and manufactured it. And this thing is an 18-round speed loader. So right now they only make this 5-shot model, which fits just about
6.
Oh, forgive me. That's right, 6.
Hey, it's end of day. We're doing math. That's a dangerous combination.
Beginning of the day is tough for me on that. I'm a man of letters, Tom. Letters, not numbers. So anyway, they made this. It fits basically most medium-sized 6-shot revolvers, and it's a gravity-fed 18-round speed loader. It's got 3 full reloads in this thing, and now, granted, the age of the pistol for police use is behind us, but still lots of people enjoy shooting revolvers. Many people have, there's millions of revolvers that are still around.
Do you know what just came to me?
I don't know. I can't get inside the inner workings. Do you know how to describe
the operation of that?
How?
It's a bingo chip dispenser.
I've never played bingo. That's a gambling
thing.
So
I've only seen this on TV, but you see the old professional, bingo players, they got a tube like this full of all kinds of little discs to cover the bingo numbers when they call them out. And you punch it, on each number. You go tick, 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 tick,
Really?
and it leaves a little disc each time you tap this on something.
Except this one
So now
dispenses
continue
bullets.
with that analogy.
Okay. Well, I'll have to defer to your expansive
Trust me on
bingo.
this. It's exactly like it, except this does 6 at a time, right into the cylinder.
All
Right.
right. Well, so be it. Anyway, the upshot
Try
of this.
bingo.
The upshot of this thing is that it's $19.
Yeah.
I thought,
It's
wow,
brilliant.
it's
So
indestructible.
you punch it drops the first 6,
Yeah.
and the rest stay in there. They stay
do.
put.
It's
You punch it again,
basically,
it drops the next 6.
if you look in the center,
Yeah.
there's a camera. There it is,
Yeah,
right?
there you go.
See the center, there's a little button in that. And so it's all gravity operated. So I'm going to hold, there you go. Boom, right? So then it works better when it's going into the cylinder because I was holding it in too long. But the point of it is it's basically foolproof. You put the bullets in, you press the center, the bullets come out, you reload them as easily, and
it's a neat idea.
you're good to go.
It's a neat idea.
I thought it was terrific. And at the price point, crying out loud, $19. You wouldn't be crying bitter tears if you forgot this at the range.
You got one to bring home and try out and report back with some extended field use. So we'll check it out.
I will. And one other thing about that too. I don't know why you'd necessarily want to do this, but if you did, you can take this apart and they give you a little handle.
Yeah.
So you can actually make a conventional speed loader, which operates in a manner, just like the Safari. In fact, it's kind of like a Safari Land, I guess.
Yeah.
With that center thing, but it's not spring loaded. It's actually much easier to load than a
Gravity
Safari
is your
Land
friend.
one. Anyway, I thought that was a really neat product, and it's so rare to find anything new under the sun for revolvers that's simple and practical. And I'll test it out. I think I'm looking forward to them making a 5-shot because I think, man, I used to be
soon. The market will be screaming for that.
Yeah, I used to not because speed loaders are kind of awkward to carry, but this
especially
way,
multiples.
Yeah, if you're going to carry multiples, if you can't get yourself out of trouble with all those bullets, you probably shouldn't have a gun.
So it's been Revolver Geek Fest here, which is a good thing. So
a lot of good guns out there.
Good stuff. So stay tuned for more on that. Get the March, April issue of Handgunner. It's going out about now to subscribers, and it'll be on the shelves in another week or two, depending on when you see this. If you like what you see and you want more, hit that like button, hit subscribe. FMG Pubs is the channel, and we will see you next time on Insider.
Some superb content, maybe the best on the web.
There you go.
I say that from somebody who watches a lot of cattail videos with his daughter.
I think on that note, I got to shut off.